1. So I work at a KBBQ where our tip is pulled. I'm not sure what the tip distribution is exactly, but it doesn't matter too much. Servers get around 70% of pulled tip, something like that, and it's the only important part of the story. Of that 70% or so that belongs to the servers, it is then divided up amongst the servers who work that shift. I've only had one job, so sorry if I'm over-explaining. Different servers get a certain percentage of the pulled tip. Head servers get 100% tip. New servers, trainees, get 50% tip, and the rest of the servers get anywhere from 50% to a maximum of 95% tip based on experience. Let's say 3 servers worked hard: head server, experienced 95% tip server, and a trainee, and they brought in $300 that shift. The $300 is then split in the following fashion. Trainee should get $100 for that shift, but because they're at 50% tip, they only walk out with $50. The experienced server would walk out with $95. The head server would walk out with $100 plus 50%, the leftover from the trainee, plus $5 left over from the experienced server, equals $155 for that shift. This is a hypothetical situation, and it's usually more balanced out than this. There is one hostess, she'll be named Lexi in this story, who used to be a server, but the manager, her older sister Carrie, supposedly asked her to be a hostess instead of a server because we were short on hostesses. We all know Lexi didn't want to be a server because it was obvious she couldn't handle the pressure of being a server sometimes. Anyways, because she's doing the restaurant a favor, she gets server tip plus 110% hostess tip for just being a hostess. Yes, 110%, not just 100. Yes, she takes tips from other hostesses. When Carrie doesn't feel like working, Lexi acts as the stand-in manager, and still collects tip, which is dumb because managers are not allowed to get tip. And all she does is power trip. Keep in mind that the manager at our restaurant just acts as an extra hostess. All the servers and hostesses are outraged by this because she makes more than a server. The head servers, the manager, Carrie, Lexi, and the owners had a meeting to discuss the fairness of this situation. The final verdict? The bosses backed up the manager's decision. Why? Because Carrie, Lexi, and the owners are all Korean. We have about 30 servers, and 4 have already quit, and a lot are planning on leaving. Servers, hostesses, and bussers. There's been this screw-it-fire-me attitude at work as a form of retaliation to this whole mess. Some work rules. First, we are not allowed to sit down at tables in our work uniform even if we are clocked out. Second, we are not allowed to eat any of the meats, i.e. we can't have people cook us meat or even eat any leftover cooked meat. Only rice and side dishes. Today, during work, a co-worker came into work and cooked some meat and put them in bowls to be discreet for the servers working that shift to eat. Carrie, Lexi, and the owners did not work this shift. Some of us sat down with the co-worker in our uniforms after we clocked out but did not eat. Earlier tonight, we all got a text from the manager saying that they were unhappy about what happened during our shift because the owners checked the cameras and saw what happened. The punishment for those involved is reduced tip from 95% down to 50% tip for the next couple of shifts. Is this legal? I don't care if I get fired over this, I have another job. But the manager wouldn't fire me because she asked me to open up my availability so she could schedule me more shifts, because she could really use experienced servers. But I care if they reduce my tip. I'd honestly prefer if they just put me on probation and reduce my shifts. But we all know that won't happen because the holidays are coming up. We get super busy because we're open Christmas and New Year's Day, and are currently understaffed. It sounds stupid that I care more about them reducing my tip instead of losing shifts. But if I lose shifts at this job, I can easily pick up another shift at my other serving job. But if I get reduced tip, then I have to work at this job making less tip and can't pick up a shift at my other server job. So yes, we broke restaurant rules, but still nothing illegal. Is it legal for them to reduce tip percentages like that? Spoilers, it is not legal. 2. About a year ago, I remember the restaurant I used to work in, a notable sports bar, was playing a very important football match. arguably the most important of the season. 2 months prior to the match, we were getting calls for reservations, and by the final week we had every table booked. Now, something you should know about our restaurant is that it is set up quite oddly. Some tables have a better view of our TVs, whereas others don't. That's compensated somewhat by the availability of 2 pull-down projector screens. Anyway, this particular story relates to such a table. If you imagine walking into this restaurant, the table is facing horizontally to the nearest TV. So, without the projector screen, there would be 2 guests with their backs to the action. Then arrive the guests. Everything seems to be going fine. They arrive early, and I take them to the table. The lead of the group, let's call him Chad, obviously isn't that much impressed.
How the fuck are we supposed to watch the TV?
Frankly, I'm a little bit taken aback by his language. But given it's game day and it's understandably frustrating, from his point of view he probably isn't aware of the projector screen. Well, we do...
Can we sit over there?
He's pointing to an 8-seater booth, I know why. It's because it has arguably the best view of our biggest TV. Nevertheless, his is a 4-man booking, and that 8-seater is obviously already booked. That table is booked, as is every other.
Well, fucking put someone else here. We want to sit there.
Bearing in mind his 3 other mates are silent throughout. In retrospect, they are all arguably so much more polite than this bag of pus. Well, that wouldn't be fair now, would it? Now, if you let me explain. Chad interrupts again, more cursing.
I'll take my money elsewhere. Cancel my booking.
I very nearly laughed at that last bit, because I know why he made such a big deal about the larger table now. I would later find out that this particular cretin is stinking rich. He has daddy's money. But oh well, 1 booking cancelled, no sweat. The 3 boys leave, led by the walking testicle. That's when the next group of customers really turns the situation well around. I'm sorry, I couldn't help over here, but they cancelled their booking. We haven't booked, and we're 4 persons. Can we have their table instead? This is exactly why 1 cancelled booking for me on a busy day like this is no sweat. 1 person's trash is another's treasure, so to speak. I happily sit the 4 men down, and the guys actually cheer when I bring the projector down. That's when it happens. Testicle McDoucheface rounds the corner and spots the projector. He re-enters the queue for tables and waits his turn. By the time he's up front, I can barely hide my grin.
So, we changed our mind.
Meaning he changed his mind and now wants the table now he realizes that nowhere else in the city has vacancy. I'm afraid your table's already been given away.
But we reserved.
Yeah, and you also communicated to me just now that you wish to cancel. I'm afraid your table was already given away.
You know, that's a really bad business practice. You should honor your commitments to reservations.
As long as the reserving party wishes to remain, which you did not communicate to me at all. I then leave the host stand and tend to that table. All the while Chad has given me a look that I can only describe as, I fucked up, but internally I'm gonna make sure this is all your fault. Sweet, sweet karma. 3. Okay, so let me start by saying I am a hostess, and a new one at that. This is my first hosting job, and I've only been here for a month. I work in a family-style Italian restaurant in a huge mall in the city. So we get busy, and I mean busy. Parties of 20 or more are standard for us daily. Walk-ins of 15 to 20 are normal for us. So as a host, sometimes it gets super hectic. Enter Karen. So Karen and her son, boyfriend, who knows, walks in already looking like a nightmare. Hello, how are you today? Nothing. She ignores me completely and beelines for the bar. Okay, no worries. I have an ATOP at the stand asking me questions on the menu, so I just let her do her thing. A couple minutes later, ATOP seated, things are considerably slower. I go to seat a family of 4 in a back bar booth. But there's Karen and the guy, sitting there with no menus. I have a family with 2 young kids squirming behind me, menus in hand. And there she sits, still ignoring me. Now, the other tables in this section need to be bussed, and I know she said herself, like an asshole. I give my brightest smile. Hi guys, did you see a hostess for seating? She gives me the dirtiest look, glares at the people she stole the table from, like they were the problem. No, why? What are you gonna do, kick us out? Hold up. Now, usually these people apologize, say, oh god, I didn't know the bar was open seating. And I tell them no worries and keep moving. Now, I'm a little shocked. I don't know what I expected, but my blood is boiling, so I stand there for a moment to collect myself. No, ma'am, that's fine. Next time, be sure to see a hostess for seating, as we're busy and on a wait list. So I turn to the husband of the group. He looks just as shocked, and I apologize and just ask them to wait in the lobby while I prepare another table. As we're walking back out, he laughs and goes, sorry you have to deal with that. He was actually very nice and patient, which is a relief. So I clean and buzz a table across the bar from her, and she watches me the whole time with an angry look. I've already decided that she won't get a menu until that family gets seated with their menus. So I continue setting up the table, and get them sat while ignoring her. When I finally drop off their menus with a fake "enjoy," she scoffs. I warned my manager about that table and let him know what happened, and he was like, oh no, no one talks to my hostess like that. He had a pretty long conversation at the table, and they seemed to be much more polite to their server after. I guess it wasn't all bad. 4. So to start with some background. I work at a small microbrewery and restaurant. That is small in the sense of relative beer production, 1,600 barrels a year. The restaurant space itself is quite large, however, with its 128 seats as well as 30 bar stools. Most weekdays and weeknights we only have one server and one manager on staff in front of house, unless we have events or large reservations that we plan for ahead of time and staff is needed. The server runs everything to the best of their ability and the manager helps as needed. A typical weekday or night shift can vary depending on the day or time, but a single server can usually expect to wring $600 to $1,000 across a 5 or 6 hour shift. It's great because you usually have something to keep busy with. But don't get overwhelmed, just a good pace. This is also great because you don't have to share tables, tip out, etc. So, to get to the point, last night it was me and a manager in front of house and 2 cooks in back of house. Usually there will be a minimum of 5 or 6 tables at once through the week, but the potential for all 23 and a large bar to fill up at random is still there. It happened. 10 plus tables waltz in within 10 minutes of each other. Big tops, 2 tops, bar traffic, you name it. We sold $1,200 of food and drinks in an hour and 15 minutes. Just the 2 of us. In the midst of all this, some people felt the need to tell me they were in a rush and requested I get their food out quickly. One table had a movie and another had a basketball game to be at, both in less than an hour. And both tables told me one right after the other. Being a brewery, people usually come in for a relaxed, casual experience and in no rush. So this is honestly the first time I've ever had anyone say that in 3 years of being there. I say we're doing all we can, and that if they make up their minds quickly, that will speed up the process. In the meanwhile, 6 growlers from various people need to be filled with beer. A task that takes away a solid 2 minutes per fill. We blew through 2 or 3 kegs on top of it. It was a fun time. As all of this chaos is unfolding, one table that had nowhere to be, a foretop of old people, gets indignant when a table that sat down after them, but before I got their food order, had their food come out first. I put this foretop's ticket in first, but the kitchen literally got hit with 10 tickets in a 3-minute time span. They simply got 1 ticket out of order. 2 people making all that food is going to take a while. It still wasn't bad though. Around 30 minutes for the very longest wait. Before the food can even come out, they were asking for discount handouts, and I was thinking to myself, oh, hell no. They get more aggressive and impatient as each minute passes. And when that other table got their food first, one of the old men literally throws his hands up in the air at me. Another first in my veteran serving career. That's when I decided I was completely over these people. I explained the situation to them of what's happening around them, because they can't see it for themselves apparently. I get their food out to them a few minutes later, and the other, not-so-gentleman at the table has the balls to explain to me that he came in clean-shaven and managed to grow his beard in the time he had been waiting. Without thinking, I immediately responded, "Sir, I feel your pain. I started this shift with jet black hair that's now on its way to being grey, and will be by the end of the night." Turned around and walked away. I thought it was just about the funniest thing. Long-winded, but that battle story deserved as many details as possible to set the stage. I hope you can all get a laugh from it too. It also serves as a friendly reminder that no matter how deep in the weeds you are, it will always come to an end. I'm not complaining about any of it, I'm just proud that we made it through and felt like $1,000,000. $270 more like, at the end. Here's to a good holiday season in the service industry. 5. So I work at a fairly well-known Italian restaurant in my area. I've worked there for about 5.5 years in total, so it's safe to say I know all the menu items, procedures, etc. Anyway, it was a lunch shift and we were incredibly busy and short-staffed in almost every aspect of the restaurant. It was one of those I don't know if and how I'm going to make it through this rush. I am up for the next table and I get sat at one top. He immediately orders ravioli. I specify and say, "Sir, do you want the meat ravioli?" Being the fact that we have 3 types on the menu, he says yes. I drop off the food, wait a few minutes, go over to check on him, and that's when the shit begins to hit the fan. "How's everything tasting, sir?" "This isn't ravioli." Looking at what is clearly ravioli. "Sir, that is our traditional ravioli. Would you like a different dish?"
"No, I want ravioli. It comes served in a casserole dish with baked cheese."
That's when I realized he could be talking about 3 other dishes. Oh, so that dish could have been... And before I could finish my sentence...
"I don't want to argue with you."
"Sir, that was not my intention, and I'm so sorry it came off that way. I just want to get you the dish you're thinking of."
"You know what?"
He slams his hand down on the table and stands up.
"Just give me my bill. This is ridiculous. I knew I shouldn't have come here. Bring me my bill."
At this point, I'm so taken aback and so busy. I look at him in the eye while raising my voice. "Cool." I quickly run over to my manager and give her the shortest explanation, something along the lines of, "There's this crazy man at table 19. Here's his bill, I won't be returning to him." So I walk over to my other table past him, and I feel a hand on my shoulder spin me around, and it's the crazy dude who yells at me in front of the other tables.
"I'm not here to argue with you."
At this point, I'm so fed up and pissed off he actually laid his hand on me. I stick my hand in his face and yell, "Sir, there is no argument because I'm right. You may go see my manager now." He continues to cause a scene in the lobby for about 4 minutes before my manager tells him, "You know what? Don't worry about your bill, just get out." If you've made it this far, thank you for listening to my most frustrating, insane, and worst customer experience. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Spinning Plates number 73. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Okay. Right, bit of information as we head into the holiday season now. What date is it anyway? Well, I'm recording this on the 6th. You guys will hear this on the 7th. Right, so we are less than 3 weeks away from Christmas Day.
It's Christmas Day, sir.
Oh, by the way, if you haven't heard it yet, there is a reading of A Christmas Carol up on my channel. Good time of year to give it a listen if you haven't checked it out. If you want the link, let me know and I'll point out the link. But just, search Hellfreezer Christmas Carol. I'm quite pleased with how that one turned out. Now, as we head into this holiday period, as I was saying, I'm going to, this weekend, I'm just going to begin working ahead. So I'll take Saturday off, have a nice, relaxing, wiggly toe type Saturday. I may stream, so if you want to join me for a bit of Sherlock Holmes gaming on stream, we can do that together for a couple of hours. Then on Sunday, I'm just going to begin production on videos from that week right through. And I'm essentially going to keep working. I might take a day off here and there. Keep working until I've cleared enough space through to January 2nd. Right, January 2nd. Yeah, January 2nd. Which is usually when I'd begin work on the weekend videos. So that works out quite well. And if I get done early, then I will just, when I've cleared out enough space to do that, I will then just stop working, and then I will be on vacation from that point on. I bet it's going to be a super duper pipper amount of work, so I may not be as available to chat in the Hellfreezer Discord server as I usually am, but I will still pop in from time to time. I think any other information? Nope, although I do need to actually start getting things in for Christmas, or like Christmas Day. You know, it's a lot of work for one day of the year, and of course, the new Doctor Who showrunner has let us down yet again, and no Christmas special. It does start, the new series does start on New Year's Day, that's something, but again, no extra episode. You know, I'm usually quite positive on the Doctor Who showrunners, but this new one? It's not so much that he's dropped the ball, he just doesn't seem to know how to inflate it. All the elements are there, he's got a good cast there, maybe has too many companions, and there were good episodes last year. But if you can't do the basic thing of getting a new episode out for Christmas, which has been a tradition for quite a number of years now, for over a decade, what are you doing, man? Okay, that's enough Hellfreezer grumbling. Okay. With that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.